afternoon and happy holidays from all of us here at the Maize and Blue Review. We got St. Nick with us, St. Jerry. There he is, Jerry Diorio, joining us, the former Wolverine, during this week, which a lot of people enjoy because there's a lot of talk about football between Christmas and New Year's. Jerry, how are you?
Great to be a Michigan Wolverine again, Denny. Always great to be a Michigan Wolverine.
Well, people still, I know it always is the word there, but I think people feel even better about Michigan, and they're still riding that high of the Ohio State win. Still in there.
Oh, November, with no doubt, was a great week, or a great month for Michigan. Getting Bryce Underwood first, then beating Ohio, and then and we get Marshall right behind it. And I think Marshall is a heck of a pickup. I think that might be one of the most underrated pickups we've had this year.
Nathan Marshall, you're talking about, the defensive lineman. And you mentioned Bryce Underwood. We've got some video of Bryce Underwood down in the Sunshine State that we're going to watch coming up here momentarily. So that's exciting. And, Jerry, it's one of those things about when you talk about bowl season that was always awesome from a Michigan standpoint. If they could get the win in the bowl game, it just reminds me, there's so many people that are going back and talking, oh, the Ohio State game, what a game. Well, it's the last thing that you remember, and it's that same thing where you get that springboard in the bowl game in the past, and everybody's just like, oh, yeah. Now, they didn't really have that. I guess, Harbaugh's first year and maybe his last. I think they lost all the other bowl games in between that, but it's a different landscape. You can also say, yeah, well, they were in the college football playoff for the last 3 years. So that was like winning bowl games for the last 3 years, which I'll agree with, so it was, but so you always have to adjust things as everybody plays out. But it was just in a year that was overall disappointing. If Michigan, they get the win against Ohio State, and then they're a huge underdog against Alabama. If they somehow come out on top, I think you roll into the off season, like on a pretty good high.
Yeah, absolutely, Denny. I mean, getting the victory in Ohio was key. I mean, that really kind of salvaged the season that was looking very bleak. I mean, when you beat Ohio, that's a great game, great win, and it helps your season, it helps everything. It helps recruiting. It helps you get prepared for bowl games. Get you going into next year with a lot of people looking at you as a favorite. So but Denny, ever since NIL and transfer portal and all the other stuff, bowl games are totally different nowadays. You don't know who's playing. Denny, I don't think I've ever won a bowl pool in my life, and right now I'm sitting at first. So that tells you how bad things are when I can predict the bowl winners.
They're hard, and I'd also add the 12-team playoff has made it a lot different and made it a lot more difficult as well. Well, we're going to talk about the ReliaQuest Bowl, as that is in sight now, coming up Tuesday at noon. We've got bowls on our mind. We've got some bowl history fun to get into. We're also going to discuss how Sherrone Moore is approaching Tuesday afternoon down in Tampa. But I already mentioned it, that we have video of Bryce Underwood down in Tampa. And Jerry, I want you to just take it all in. Tell us what we're looking at here. There he is, number 19.
Yeah, we're seeing his footwork. They're working right there on getting him to step up into the pocket. So they're simulating right there that the rush is coming from the outside. He's got to step up into the pocket. And I think that's going to be key for him throughout his career because of his size, his strength, and his mobility and his release. He's going to be a real threat in the middle of the field if you get upfield too far on him. He can really exploit some things, I think, with his ability to move around and his size. I think that's going to be real key for him in the future.
Jerry, when I would watch some of the video when he was at Belleville, look, and people would say, he's kind of built and even, he could run and he kind of throws, and, people are always looking for comps. And, they would say Lamar Jackson. I'm looking at him right here. This might be from this morning, right? Physically, he's next to Orgy there, which we'll get to in a moment, which is a little surprising. Physically, he looks good. I mean, he's got a thick waist and he's pretty big. He's not what you'd call a skinny dude.
No, he is absolutely built like a brick. Brick crap house, they used to call him, right? No, he is an extremely impressive specimen. He is big, strong. He's got speed. Like I've said in the past, his big thing is going to be his accuracy. That's where the rubber's going to meet the road for him. And I thought Wangler brought up a great point last week when he talked about the need for reps. And what he was pointing at is the more reps you see as a young quarterback or as a quarterback going through the system, the more reps you see, the more able you are to release the ball quicker. In other words, you see a coverage, you saw that before, you saw the coverage. Now you know to go to this guy quicker. So I think that's gonna that eventually could help his accuracy. The more reps he gets.
It's funny when you watch a quarterback. You look for everything, but you hear a lot of people. You just watch a guy throw, and you say, "Wow, the ball really explodes out of his hand," or man, he can just throws a tight spiral, or he throws a very catchable pass. All of those things apply when you look at Bryce Underwood, and you can understand why people like him so much. He's got like an effortless motion, but the ball seems to really fly when he's throwing it, and he's throwing it on the move.
Now, I'm not comparing him to this at all, but when I tried out with the Broncos, John Elway was a second-year quarterback coming out of Stanford, and his arm strength was such that you could actually hear the ball whistle past you as it was going. You could swear it was whistling past you as it was going. And I could see Bryce with that kind of strength in his arm. He's going to be that impressive. And, I used to my good friend Bob Stoops, former head football coach down at Oklahoma. When Steve Smith came back from an injury back in 1983, Bob told me, he said, you could tell Steve's arm was not as strong as it was before because you can make breaks on the ball quicker. And that's what Underwood's going to bring. He's going to make that defensive back a little bit more hesitant, and that little hesitation is going to create completions because of his arm strength. That arm strength will make people miss by inches, and that's what we're looking for.
Jerry, Jaden Davis is throwing the ball here as well. He just threw one, and a lot of people have commented on his motion because I don't know if he's 6 feet tall, 5'11", whatever. He doesn't really have this over the top. He looks more like he's throwing a baseball as a shortstop, where more Underwood looks like he's holding it up by his ear. But Davis it might look a little different there. Like there, he looked like it was more over the top. So maybe they've worked on his delivery a little bit.
Well, when you're talking about shorter quarter, look at Mahomes. Okay. Possibly one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Not real tall, and he's got to make passes that are very unconventional to what we've seen traditionally for quarterbacks. I mean, he's making sidearm throws, no-look passes, these types of things. I'm not saying Jaden Davis is doing that kind of stuff and is capable of doing that kind of stuff, but that's what they're looking at with Jaden Davis. How do we make this young man more productive with the assets that he has? And one of the liabilities he has is his height. So what are we going to do to help him with his height? And that is going to be his release, where that ball releases from, and so he can get that ball out and down the field.
And Underwood listed at 6'4". By the way, Patrick Mahomes 6'2", but I know what you're talking about. 10 years ago, when you started talking about guys, firing from the side or something, you'd say, oh, you don't want that. I used to say that about Matt Stafford early on. I said, I don't want to see him throwing sidearm and everything else, but he did. There's Davis Warren. These guys they're practicing jumping and throwing sidearm. Here's Davis.
Yep, exactly. I never knew that they were doing these kinds of throws until just recently. And I'm going to give a shout out to high school coach. We've got a young man who's got a scholarship to Michigan State. And I see these quarterbacks all the time throwing off their back foot, throwing out of uncomfortable positions, arm down, but they're making throws that are needed. So these are good drills that are putting these kids in a position, these quarterbacks in a position that they have to adjust their arm angle to throw the ball. I saw it right there, Davis Warren. He's going to his left and he throws back to his right. Tough throw. How do you make that throw? Obviously, they're practicing it. So, these are good drills to help these quarterbacks with their angles.
That's pretty. And here's Underwood. Just my question for myself and everyone else is if you didn't know Bryce Underwood was Bryce Underwood, would you be like, oh, look at the delivery, look at him? I don't know the answer to that. You're going to be biased a little bit watching him, but you can see the arm strength. No, so Jerry, people would say this video must be from weeks ago. Look, it's from Tampa. It could be from today, maybe yesterday. Alex Orji is in the video. Alex Orji is gone to the transfer portal, so we thought he was gone, and yet here he is. He's with the team, and he's practicing, and he's available for Tuesday's game. Puts a little bit of a wrinkle in things as how you think about it. I was thinking about a lot of people have said, oh, I want to see Jaden Davis. I want to see him now that at bare minimum, because Bryce Underwood can't play in this game. He can practice and do some things, but he can't play on Tuesday. But with Orji, seemingly he's not out of the picture. The thought was maybe they would at least put Davis and have some kind of package for a series or two, or maybe even more, just to get him a little feel. It wouldn't burn his red shirt. It doesn't matter in a bowl game. But now with Orji back in, and I did see a quote, I don't remember where it's from, that, yeah, Orji, he'll be like he was all year long, which it makes me feel like there's going to be an Orji package for this game. So maybe we won't see any of Jaden Davis. I don't know. What do you think?
We were talking earlier, Denny, and Hibner, the former tight end for the Wolverines, a backup tight end, last year transferred, and he ended up going to SMU. Well, the funny part about it is he played in our bowl game last year while entering the transfer portal. So, this transfer portal, it's got to be addressed. They cannot allow these kids to enter a transfer portal before the bowl game. If they want the bowl games to mean anything at all, they've got to move this transfer portal date behind the bowl games, after the bowl season, because what you're going to get is all this mass exodus. People opting, coaches are not going to play these kinds of kids now. These kids that are coming out, of Michigan, they might not see the bowl, the field for the bowl game because they're not in the cards for next year, and so they're losing an opportunity to play. The NCAA, and you hear this so much from the players. The backup quarterback, I saw the quote from him, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something to the effect that, I hate doing this at this point in time in the season. We're still in the hunt for the national title, but I have to put my name in the transfer portal. Brown from Ohio State, same thing. The quarterback at Ohio State wants to transfer, wants a chance to play, but he's got to enter the transfer portal before the playoffs, and his team actually voted for him to continue playing. So something's got to be done with this transfer portal date. They've got to move it past the bowl season and get that right, because this is really, I think it's hurting kids.
All right, Jerry, I'm going to have you put on your coaching cap, and you're going to be Sherrone Moore. And I'm going to ask you if you're playing I think it's a blend that we would all say. I'm going to ask you if it's going to be more about winning this game on Tuesday, or if it's more about getting guys ready to go for next season. So while you think about that for 1 second, I do want to tell everyone that Christmas, we all hope that you had a great Christmas on Wednesday. It kind of it made yesterday feel like it's Sunday, and today feels like it's Monday. I don't know if everybody's feeling like that, but my point here is that if you were looking for a stocking stuffer and you took our advice, you gave the gift of the Maize and Blue review, and the Michigan fan in your life is just having a great time. It wasn't only great to look at it on Christmas Day and see that, Michigan got a transfer portal running back in Justice Haynes and everything that it meant. You have an update on this offensive lineman from Washington State and who he's down to moments ago. And your Michigan fan that you gifted the Maize and Blue review to is sitting around smiling from ear to ear. Well, guess what? It's still happening. You can still give this gift out, and you can give that gift to yourself. Join up the Maize and Blue review today by going to michigan.rivals.com. So, yeah, Jerry, they want to win the game. They want to continue the springboard, that good taste in your mouth. I could sit here and know how much fun it would be for Michigan fans and the Michigan staff, the whole Michigan community, if somehow U of M, who is a gigantic underdog to Ohio State and a gigantic underdog to Alabama, beats Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan State. You already talked about Underwood and you're talking about the recruiting and getting Nathan Marshall. This would just be another one. And what was a disappointing season, it wouldn't feel like that at all. And all off season, instead of talking about how they couldn't get a quarterback to save their life, it would be the future's bright. Now it's going to be that way anyways, but you're Sherrone Moore. And so now he's got Alex Orji. And I don't know what the plan is with Alex Orji. He's in the transfer portal at any point. Any of these guys could go. Do you want to give them all a little bit of some sugar here? Like, do you want to make sure that Jaden Davis, hey, we want to give him a series, because if not, he might just bounce. That would be playing it more for the future. But meanwhile, if Jaden Davis really isn't making any plays or anything, you say, look, we're going to play the quarterbacks that we think have give us the best chance of the win. And every single position, Jerry, how do you approach it when you're Sherrone Moore, who says he's playing to win the game?
You have to. I mean, you're in this arena for one thing, winning football games. And so your number one objective, I don't care what it is, your number one objective is to win a game. I think the only time I ever looked at a game and didn't think I needed to win it was a scrimmage. And my main objective coming out of a scrimmage was to be healthy going into the season. Okay, season's over. Got a long time to heal up the bumps and bruises. We're a big-time underdog. A lot of guys missing in this on this team. But I'm still looking to win this game. I want to see our guys compete. I want to see our guys compete at the highest level, because remember, these are the same guys we're going to see next year. Look at what happened to Florida State last year and how it hurt Florida State this year. I mean, they lost their team. They go to the bowl game. Georgia put 60 on them, and now they're 2-10 or 2-11, whatever they are, okay? Absolutely, we're looking at this game to win.
Yeah, but Jerry, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think everybody agrees with you. What if, we'll take it to the pros, and it's not a total apples to apple comparison, but let's say the Vikings, they lose this weekend. They're playing. I think they're playing the Packers. And then the Lions beat the 49ers on Monday Night Football. So you're going into the last game, and the Lions, so they have it clinched. They have the number one seed clinched. Yeah, they have a game, but wouldn't it be smart to rest up key players?
Totally different scenario, Denny. Different scenario.
What if I tell you that next year is more important, getting the guys the reps that are going to be here?
You're going to have that anyways, though, Denny.
Yeah, but you're not. You're not with guys that, sure, they want to play their last game at Michigan. And I know as a player, that's a great thing. You want to stay out. But if you're not going to be on the team next year, why not give those reps that could help somebody in a game situation that could help Michigan more? I don't, that it's
what you're talking about, Denny, is guys that had a substantial role this year, looking to go into the transfer portal next year, correct?
What I'm talking about is a guy Khalil Mullings, it doesn't seem like Khalil Mullings is going to play the game, right? But so he's done no matter what happens on Tuesday. And like I said, I don't think he's playing in the game, but let's just say he was. And if you're Sherrone Moore and you go out and your game plan is like, all right, we want to, we see Jordan Marshall once in a while. We got Ben Hall. We got Capana that's behind him. But you're going in the game. Khalil Mullings has, been your best back. And Khalil Mullings is running the ball with authority. And he's breaking off. And so, sure, Donovan Edwards, we know he's not playing. So you give Jordan Marshall, some carries. But you're getting into the second half. And you're thinking, all right, don't we want to get a look at Ben Hall too and Capana? Are we going to take some carries away? And wouldn't it be better for Michigan if Marshall and Capana and Hall were getting the carries over Khalil Mullings? That's a hypothetical that is not, we don't think is going to play out that way, but that's the hypothetical.
I'm still saying I'm playing Mullins. If that's my choice, I'm playing Mullins and I'm going for the win. Hey, they got their guy playing. Milrose playing, correct?
Yes, he is.
Okay. So they're playing to win. Why shouldn't we be playing to win? No, I'm playing to win. Yeah, our seconds are going to get reps anyways. I mean, we got 2 defensive linemen that we got to fill immediately. And so, yeah, our backups are going to get a lot of reps in that position. And I wouldn't be surprised to see 5 defensive tackles in there between the 1 and the 3 techniques all game long. So I wouldn't be surprised at that. That's not playing to the future. That's playing to win. You're looking at your talent in the future. The name that really the names that really stand out to me are Guides, Doman, Morris, and Orji. Frankly, I don't know if maybe Doman. That would be it.
Maybe what about Doman? You wouldn't.
I'd play him maybe. Maybe. I think all the other guys are gone. They're leaving. And
Doman's gone too, though. But what if
that's what I'm saying. He would be the only one that would be going that I would think about playing. To get that punting and that field position. Other than that, you got to find out what you got for next year. These guys are not coming back, but I'm still playing to win. I'm playing to win with the guys I know that are coming back to play with us next year.
What if Orji is, gets a deal? I don't know, gets $100,000 from Western or something. He's going to be the quarterback, and he's still going to want to play in this game. And you've got an Orji package. Are you thinking, okay, let's give that series to Jaden Davis? You're still playing Orji.
Yeah. Yep. I'm still playing Orji. Yeah, I want to win this game. I want to get us off of this year. And look at what Sherrone. How many Michigan coaches, Denny, can say they beat Michigan State and Ohio in the same year, their first year, their rookie year? Not many. Now you add on Northwestern and Minnesota. Those are great. Those are trophy wins. Okay, so now you're 4-0 in a trophy win case. You win the bowl game, you're 5-0. That's pretty good season. That's a pretty good first-year season. And if I remember correctly, Bob Stoops won the national championship his second year. In his first year, he had 4 or 5 losses. And I think Saban was in the same boat kind of thing. He had a couple losses his first year and then came back and won it the second year.
What I think is going to happen is both things are going to happen. Sherrone Moore is going to play to win, and all things being equal, he's going to put the guys out there that gives them the best chance. Meanwhile, there is going to be some different situations where he's going to want to get some guys some experience and some snaps. So it's going to be a blend, but it's going to, if there was a push came to shove type situation where, win the game or get some guys to snap, he's going to win the game. So I'm overall, I'm going to agree with you. Now we're going to get to some feedback. A lot of people are lining up with some questions. Jerry, let's just run. If you were Will Johnson, and Colston Loveland, those guys, I'm guessing are banged up, probably are banged up. They didn't play against Ohio State. Would you play if you were Will Johnson or Colston Loveland in the game Tuesday?
Denny, haven't been faced with that. I've seen the history on it. Honestly, I gotta say, if I was playing today and I was looking at that kind of money, I'd probably be thinking about sitting out.
I would too. Kenneth Grant says he's not going to play. If you were Kenneth Grant, would you have played? He's a mid-range first-round prospect. He said he's not going to play. Would you have played if you were Kenneth Grant?
No, if he's going to go that high, no, I'd probably sit it out. I'd back it down and wait for the draft. Get ready for the draft.
Josiah Stewart could be a second-round pick. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick. But I would say, and people could say, no, he's not going that high, or you looked at Mel Kiper. I haven't really looked at any of that. I'm just giving you my opinion. So you've saved this is what Todd McShay said. I think Josiah Stewart could be a second-round, third-round pick. I don't think he's going to play. Would you play if you were Josiah Stewart?
I think Josiah Stewart has a lot of reps and a lot of history at Michigan football, and the scouts have seen him and they know about him. So with that said, but he's still a second, maybe third rounder. You might want to get a couple more reps on film and play the game.
Yeah, I think those are the tough ones when you feel like a second or third rounder and you come out and you play awesome. You know, that could boost you up a little bit and bump you out, but they already have a lot of tape on you. So trying to make these decisions could be difficult. Here's one. Michael says that, or it's Mark who says Donovan Edwards going pro as a projected undrafted player. Should he reconsider? Now, I don't know. I can't think that he already could just go down there and say, oh, I'm getting the read that I'm not getting drafted. I'd like to play. But if he could do that, we'll just play. I don't know if I agree that he. I mean, you're saying he's projected. I could see him being drafted still, but should Donovan Edwards have reconsidered if he was getting the kind of information that he wasn't going to be a drafted?
Reconsider what? Then he playing in this game, or
yeah. The ship's probably sailed on that. Should he have reconsidered? Should he have played in this?
He's a senior. I think he should have been playing. I think he should be playing in this game. I think his draft status is questionable. I mean, he's coming into the draft, and you know, as I'm projecting him, I'm looking at him as a very good pass catcher. He can do other things, but and every down back, I don't know if he's there.
Yeah, and Mark, I don't know where you get your information from. I think that Donovan Edwards will get drafted. Donovan might think that he's taking this time. They go to these different places in Arizona, and they just work on the combine. And if Donovan goes out there and runs a sub 4.4, I have a hard time with knowing what he did in big games and the film that he has. And if he goes out and runs a 4.39 at the combine, that he's going to go undrafted. So I think he's thinking, and his team is saying, look, you go out there and run a sub 4.4, you're going to go a lot higher than what these people are projecting. So that's what I would think. Mullings, I don't think he's going to run very fast. Maybe he's thinking he can shave some time off, but I would think this would be an opportunity for him to go out and show everyone again. It's not like he was a multiple year starter or anything. It was really him and Colston Loveland as the MVPs this year on a mid Michigan team. I would think that he would want to go out and play, but apparently he's not. So,
Denny, I'm just thinking back at all the things we just talked about. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute. Now you got to be consistent here. Okay. You're saying Graham shouldn't play and Loveland shouldn't play.
No.
And Grant shouldn't play, then why should Mullins play and why should here's the difference that's in my mind subconsciously, and that is the fact that Graham, Loveland, Grant, they're gone. They're juniors. They're underclassmen. They're gone. These guys are seniors. They're still playing for something. They still got some stuff on the table. And I think that would be my justification for the Stewarts, the Donovan Edwards, the Mullins. Maybe they should play. The other guys, they're pretty much projected high and moving on early. I think they need to go.
Interesting. Michael says, the season was a failure when your bowl game non-participant gets all the accolades. I know what you're saying there, but it's also this non-participant is a local legend at the quarterback position, which was the worst, one of the worst ever performances by a quarterback room. You add all of that together, it's I don't know, not if Michigan was in the playoff, but almost every other situation. People love recruiting. Not everybody's like this, but people love recruiting, this YouTube, everybody's into all of that. So there're going to be a lot of people there's if you were breaking down, I put it to you like this, what hype is for sports, Underwood checks every box ever on hype. So there would be people that would be hyped up if Michigan was sitting here as a double-digit favorite in the college football playoff right now. People would be interested in watching that video. So I get what you're saying, but I mean, the guy is, he's bringing that kind of accolades to the table. All right, let's read some of these, Jerry. See what you think. Mark says Michigan needs this win. The OSU upset was great, but an Alabama win is epic. And the college football finals appearance program boost. They need this win.
Well, it would be a great win. It puts us at 8-5. We had some hiccups early in the season because I don't think our coaching staff and our players knew each other real well. And I'm going to tell you, Wink Martindale to me was probably one of the more impressive coaching performances all year long. And I'll tell you why. He came in, and remember, we talked about this way back in the spring. We were hoping that he wouldn't blitz a lot. We were hoping that he would rely on his talent and drop 7 and work with that young secondary. That didn't happen. He came in right away. He was blitzing over 50% of the time. Those are NFL numbers. But slowly you saw Wink pulling back. And that last Ohio State game was brilliant. I thought he did a fantastic job, and it was probably one of his easier game plays because it looked like he ran base the whole time. And so, we pull off a couple wins earlier with our coaches and players more connected. Who knows where this season would have been? I honestly thought we were going to be in the playoffs without a doubt. And I don't think that's too far-fetched when you beat Ohio in Columbus.
Yeah, and most of the national media said that was the worst coaching job that they've ever seen from the Ohio State side. Tennessee's fans are saying, why didn't we coach like Wink Martindale? And Michigan fans are saying, oh, yeah, it was a terrible game plan by Ohio State, but it's because they're spooked of Michigan. So I think all of those things are true. So it's fun to argue about. Michigan has a punter, Hudson Hollenbach, who is on the team. He came in as a punter, I think Mississippi State, place kicker punter. He hasn't seen any action. I think he's a left-footed punter or whatever that will do for you. But I would say that since they don't have another punter right now, he would be the one that you would project, or you would be looking to the transfer portal. But Hudson Hollenbach would be your punter. All right, Santino says we need to start Jaden Davis for the bowl game. Go ahead, Jerry. What do you think?
I think we've got a quarterback coming in from Fresno next year who's going to put more competition in that quarterback room.
That's right.
And I think Davis Warren beat Ohio and Columbus. And if there's nobody that's won that quarterback position, I think you start Davis Warren. And you go for the win, and Davis Warren is in competition for next year's quarterback position. Don't sleep on Davis Warren. This kid has made some really good throws. I think he was handcuffed a little bit with the lack of knowledge of this team and the talent it had on offense. But Davis Warren showed me that he can make some throws. Yeah, he had some interceptions, did some bad things. But he did beat Ohio and Columbus, and I think he got better as the season went on. And he's going to be a lot stronger next year. He's going to be a lot more competitive next year in that quarterback room. So, don't sleep on Davis Warren next year.
Yeah, sometimes it just happens where a guy in his true freshman year, something clicks in, he starts, practicing better. He's scout team. What I'm saying here is maybe Jaden Davis over the last month or two of the season just really took off. And maybe he goes down into the bowl game. And when, here's the thing, Santino, they evaluate all those throws that we were just watching at the beginning of the show. And if you're just joining us, we had 8 minutes of Bryce Underwood and the whole quarterback room just throwing balls. If they look, and we're only seeing one period, and I don't know how is there 20 periods or something, Jerry, that they go through, but they're taping all of it and they're evaluating every single step, throw, snap, everything that they can go through. They're looking at. If Jaden Davis, if things have just clicked in and he's outperforming everyone, well, then maybe he has a chance. Now, that would be a huge surprise to everyone that if that happened. But so just to say that we need to start him, we need to start him so he doesn't transfer. He could transfer now, and he could also transfer in the spring. Do you want, if you're just going to play him just to play him, Davis Warren might be like, I'm out. I'm out here. I beat Ohio State. I'm out here working my tail off. In the evaluation, they're telling me that I am the leader in the clubhouse as we go through here and compete. I'm going to get to start, but Santino wants to start Jaden Davis just because he's not going to leave. You better be careful. You want the guy that's performing the best right now to go out there. And I think it is. I think everybody feels like it's going to be Davis Warren. So, I mean, I'm
going to say something about Davis Warren, and I'm not trying to make a comparison here, but I'm going to say this. We had John Wangler on last week, and Wangs is one of the more popular quarterbacks that's that quarterbacked Michigan in the last half century. Without question, he was Bo's first Rose Bowl quarterback victory. Okay, remember, he didn't start the first 2 games his senior year. He didn't start much of his 4th year or his redshirt junior year, the year before that Rose Bowl championship win. So everybody that's sitting here pointing the finger and saying no to Davis Warren, back up a little bit. Don't sleep on him yet. He's got experience. And I'll tell you what, he might not be bad in the transfer portal. I think there'd be a couple teams that would be willing to look at him and pick him up.
Santino has doubled down. He's actually put money in our portal, in the Mason Blue Reviews Good Afternoon portal. He's putting money in the portal behind Jaden Davis. And he says it is time for the future to see what we got. You know, there is a part, and it reminds me because we saw Alex Orji, and I heard Sherrone Moore a number of times because he was asked what Alex Orji has done, to go down there. He started a few games. He was neck and neck with Davis Warren. And, Sherrone Moore said, yeah, he makes plays. All spring long, he was making plays. All fall long, he was making plays. Now, it didn't really translate. This is my opinion. It didn't, all the stuff that they were saying, oh, man, he was wow. They didn't say he was wowing us, but they said he was making plays. I didn't see any of that. Anytime, whether it's been the spring game or any time that he's played, I didn't see it with the arm. But sometimes guys just, they play really well in practice and then they're not able to do it in the game. The reverse sometimes works as well, that you're a gamer and then you get out there. Jerry, I went to, for about 5 years. For 14 years, I used to go to Lions practices and everybody would say, oh, who looks good and everything else. It was usually the same answers. Matt Stafford always looked really good when I was there. It's like, wow. And then there was a wide receiver who stood a helmet taller than everybody else, and he was way faster, and he always practiced really well. It was Kelvin. Megatron always looked great. I said, oh, Mel. But you know who always looked bad? Is they had a quarterback, and you would have thought that he was that they would have cut him after every practice. He was number 5 out there. He would throw a wobbly pass. It wasn't accurate at all. And it was almost like they were putting him out there as a joke. His name was Drew Stanton. They would put him in games and during the preseason, and he was a baller. He'd go out there, he'd lead the team from behind, and they would win. He would do it a few times in a couple starts that he had for the Lions too. And he actually went out to Arizona and did halfway decent out there. But the point with Stanton is if you watched him, you would always be like, oh, I don't even know why they have it. He can't throw a pass 10 yards without it wobbling. But he was pretty good when he got him in the game. And, he was decent, as a starting quarterback. So maybe there's that where the guy's not doing anything, but he's a real baller when you put him in. I don't know. You any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, hey, remember Billy Kilmer?
Yeah.
Remember Billy Kilmer, Denny? I he came into the NFL as a running back, if I remember correctly. He never threw a spiral, but his team was in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs. So, when you're looking at a quarterback, you got to judge him a little bit on the wins and losses too.
Yeah. Let's take a few more here before we get to the bowl fun. Scovey says that Michigan doesn't need this win.
I mean, it's not do or die. It's not going to make Michigan football or not, but it sure would be a nice springboard to go into next year, and I definitely would like to do it. You're like I said, Denny, you're out there competing. You're competing to win. Forget about all the other stuff. You're looking to win.
All right. Jerry, I want you to answer the question. Sorry, I've got a pen in my mouth. If you had to call it right now, playoffs next year or no?
I think it was Tuesday of this week. We heard that Kenneth Grant was probably going to come back, and then yesterday we heard that he was leaving. If he was coming back, I would say we were going to be in the playoffs because that defense is going to be good next year. Our secondary is going to be good. Our linebackers are returning. Our edge is going to be very competitive, even with losing Stewart. The two up front are game changers because we got away with a lot with those two up front. We got away with playing and dropping 7. We got away with not blitzing a lot and getting home with 4. So those two in the middle mean a lot. We've got to shore up those two positions immediately. We've got to get some offense going immediately. And so I'm gonna say incomplete on that, Denny. I'm not ready to make that decision yet. I want to see more from what we got.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes. I think that they're going to go. They have to go out to the transfer portal, and they're going to need a defensive tackle. I think they need to go into the transfer portal and get a wide receiver. I think that they'll be able to do that. They've had success. They're going through the spring. Obviously, the quarterback position, playing a young guy like they are, or one of the placeholders, whatever you want to call them. But Michigan can't go in this, and they're not going to go 2 years without making the college football playoff. My expectation is they make the college football playoff, and I am saying today that I think they will make the college football playoff. I'm going to say yes. Jerry tabling it to see what the roster looks like, which is fair. But Jerry, what if you had to? I am going to take the wires out of your computer, put them together, and shock you with forcing you to make a decision. I've got the wires in my hand, and they're ready to shock you. You've got to say yes or no.
Yes.
There it is.
Probably with a conference championship.
Oh, and a conference championship as well. Keegan says Mikey Keene looks good on film. Do you like?
I'm going to tell you a little bit about Keene, what I saw with him in the Fresno game. And again, it's not a fair judgment. Keene was playing against, at that point in time, the best defense rush in the business. And then Wink was sending more people, so he was really off his spot. He was throwing off his back foot a lot. He was very inaccurate. In other games that he's played up until that point and after that game, much more accurate. So I think the pass rush from Michigan's elite defense at that point in time hurt him against us. It's going to be interesting to see what he does in the spring.
I like it. Here's an argument about playing Jaden Davis. And the statement is from BK, who says Davis Warren didn't beat Ohio State. Stop it. You get Jaden Davis a chance to get his feet wet to see what you got. Everyone knows what you have with Warren. Keegan saying that I am no longer trusting the process at quarterback. I don't know if that's a question mark. Yeah, the quarterback, the lack of me trusting the process started game week of last year. when Sherrone Moore came out, instead of declaring who the starting quarterback was over there shuffling his feet and throwing up his hands like, oh, we're going to keep competing. And I knew that was the wrong answer. The wrong answer before he officially ever coached his with the whole as him as the head coach. We know he coached a couple games last year. He screwed it up right from the start. And then he didn't know what he was doing with the quarterbacks and didn't do a very good job evaluating them. And then how he was playing him, and he didn't do a very good job. And his offensive coordinator that he tabbed or gave the experience to, now he takes all the blame. But ultimately, it goes to Sherrone Moore. So, yeah, I don't, what he did do with the help of the Michigan brand was able to get, he reshaped it. And we'll see how he goes from this day forward. But, yeah, I'm not sitting around talking about, run the quarterback room like Michigan ran it last year. I mean, they had their worst year ever. So,
well, hey, Denny, you know what? You want to stop something? Stop saying that Davis Warren didn't win, didn't quarterback Michigan in Ohio in Columbus to win the game. He did. Okay, John Wangler beat Ohio 7-3 my freshman year.
right.
Did he not win the game? Give me a break. He was the quarterback on the field. He led our team to victory. Stop it. Okay? No, Davis Warren right now is the quarterback in that room. And then we're going to see what the competition is next year. We're going to see if Bryce Underwood is going to be ready to come out and play his freshman year, the first game his freshman year next year. I don't think he is. I don't think he should be expected to do that. In the meantime, we need to get some competition in that quarterback room, which I think Sherrone Moore did. He's bringing in Keene. Davis Warren is an experienced quarterback with a victory in Columbus. Not too many people can say that, I don't think. So we're going to have some competition in the quarterback room. I'm with you, Denny. You got to make up your mind a little bit quicker than what we did last year. I thought going into the season, I was completely shocked that Davis Warren was the starting quarterback going into the season. I was ready for an orgy. I was ready for a wide open orgy package. And I thought the orgy package would have fit in better with Campbell than what he was trying to do with Davis's package. But that's the beauty of going into the next year. We get to look at the whole new slate. And yes, you know what, Denny? And here's the other thing. We got a new coordinator coming in. This guy has been schooled by some really good head football coaches. Okay? Schooled by Moten down in, UCF, who's now at the Baltimore Ravens. Okay? Malzone. He's been a head football coach. This guy coming in is pretty doggone good. And, I wanted to do some film study today. We're not going to get a chance to. But I'm going to tell you one thing I think he's going to bring in next year that's going to help our quarterbacks a lot. And that's more of an outside zone package. We were not an outside zone. We didn't run outside zone very much in the last few years. Okay, we were more inside zone, power gap, and some counter. Outside zone is going to give us an opportunity to run a lot more boots on the backside and outside zone. And I think Lindsey's going to bring that in, and it's going to open up for our quarterbacks. And he's going to be more of a quarterback coach, I think. He's going to be more in tune with coaching quarterbacks.
All right, I'm going to take three more on the feedback. And I just want to say one more. If I had to handicap who is going to be the starter for Michigan next year, I would say, as we sit here right now, the favorite to be the starter in the opener next year for Michigan would be Davis Warren. I'd put it at 32%. I think coming in second at 31% would be Mikey Keene, the transfer from Fresno State. I think third on that list would be Bryce Underwood at 30%. So 32, 31, and 30. And then I don't know what does that leave, like 5-6%. I'll put Jaden Davis in there. It's a fluid situation. You might think, you're nuts. I'm telling you how I feel.
That's what we got, Denny. Yeah. That's what's in our room right now.
Yeah.
That's what's in our room. We got an experienced quarterback that beat Ohio in Columbus. We got an experienced quarterback with Keene from Fresno State, who's in the bowl season this year. We got Jaden Davis. We don't know a lot about him. He might come out and surprise the heck out of us, and it would be I'd be happy to admit I'm wrong. but we know nothing about Jaden Davis. And Bryce Underwood is a freshman. And I don't think it would be fair for him to put him in there as a freshman right away.
All right, I said we would take 3. Slippin' Jimmy says, Davis Warren probably better off staying and getting a job at U of M and trying to work his way up. He says, do you two think Michigan could get a better quarterback in the portal? I think Michigan is likely done in the portal unless Davis Warren, or if there's an injury, or one of these guys transfer. I mean, Davis Warren could, Jaden Davis could. I think if those would be the 2 likely. I don't think Keene. I mean, Keene's coming in to, he just transferred here, and Underwood's not going there. Jaden Davis could transfer out. And if that happens, Michigan could, in the spring portal, look for someone. And the same thing with Davis Warren. He could leave. I don't know. He could. And then I think they would look for someone.
Yeah, I'm just wondering who's going to be left in the portal after the bowl game, after the bowl season. What quarterback's going to be left in the portal that's going to make us go, wow, we need that guy right now in our locker room, in our coaches' quarterback room. I don't know if there's somebody out there right now that's going into the portal.
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying. Rob's saying we're going to make the playoffs is what we said this season, and look where we are, 7-5. Well, you got a point to that. I understand where you're coming from. Taking a look at that. There's old Mikey Keene right there, 5'11", with a chance to come in. All right, Jerry, let's just have some fun here. We're going to answer these questions if I can get to them. We answered this one. You can look at our show earlier, how Sherrone Moore is going to coach this bowl game, eye on the future, or to win it. We went through who's in and out. And now we're going to answer 3 questions. Jerry, the first bowl game that you ever attended. Go ahead.
1981 Rose Bowl, Pasadena, California.
And
first
that was
bowl game I ever attended, first bowl I ever played in.
First bowl you ever attended, and that was the one that is ranked, however you're ranking Michigan bowls, is up near the top because that was Bo's first bowl victory, which was so incredible. As great as Bo was and everything else, people would knock him that he could not win the Rose Bowl, and that's really what the entire Michigan community wanted more than anything else, was to get Bo a win, and you got him a win, Jerry.
We Denny, it was funny because Bo had not, it wasn't just the Rose Bowl. He got beaten the Gator Bowl too, and he got beaten the Orange Bowl as well. So the reporters were all saying Bo couldn't win a bowl game. Millie said that I had to serve a breakfast on a plate because he couldn't win a bowl. He couldn't eat my bowl. But with that said, that same year, we ended up winning 2 bowl games in the same calendar year. And if I'm not mistaken, that was a record back then. We won 2 bowl games in the same calendar year. We won the Rose Bowl on January 1, 81, and we won the Bluebonnet Bowl on December 31, 81. So those are my first 2 bowl games.
Nice. My favorite, or I'm saying my first bowl game that I ever attended, was the 2002 Citrus Bowl. I was down on the field. The wide receivers and tight ends were working out. They had Jason Witten, Kelly Washington, and Dante Stallworth. All of those guys ended up being in the pros. I was intimidated and impressed by the way those guys played. Casey Clausen. I remember Witten as a tight end got the ball at about the 50, and Cato June was right there even with him. And Witten, I don't know, what did he weigh, 250 or something, pulled away from a safety at Cato June. I said, I've never seen anything like that. That was my first ever bowl game that I attended. I had a great time. All right, Jerry, the favorite bowl you went to? This is tough for you because you're a player, and then you have gone as a coach, and now in the later years there, you've gone recent years, I should say, you've gone to some bowl games. So this has got to be a tough one for you. Your favorite bowl?
Favorite bowl I went to? Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to have that tied with 1981 and the 2023 Rose Bowl.
A tie.
A tie.
Well, Jerry, normally I don't like ties, but you and I do go back enough to where there were ties. Hell, Michigan had 3 of them one year. So I'm going to allow it. Your favorite one. My favorite bowl I ever went to, unfortunately, it was a loss, but it was the Rose Bowl in 2004 where Matt Leinart and Big Mike Williams was there. And I learned, Jerry, what Bo always said about, going out to the Rose Bowl. And it was the first time after that I was out at the beach, and I didn't care that Michigan lost the game. The weather was nice and sunny. I never liked the Beach Boys before that. They were playing like the Beach Boys, and I was like, wow, I really like the Beach Boys. I love I just got Rose Bowled up. I mean, I didn't even care. It was just such a great experience. It's the greatest of anything being out there, everything around it. That was my favorite one, and Michigan didn't even win the game. Obviously, they didn't win the other one either, so that wasn't very hot. So, Jerry, we'll wrap it up asking you about your favorite Michigan Bowl of all time.
Okay, so here it is, Denny. Here it is. I'm gonna relinquish that 81 Rose Bowl, and I'm gonna give it to the 23 Rose Bowl champions. And I think it was 23, wasn't it? We played January 1, 23 or 24 last year, wasn't it?
Yes, it would have been
24. Excuse me, 24. Yeah. 24. My bad.
Michigan could beat Alabama twice in the same calendar year.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh yeah. It would be that would be one of the headlines.
But no, Denny, last year's Rose Bowl, got to go out with my old roommate Vinny DeFelice. Got to see my daughter Angela out there and hang out with her and her roommate, and just a great atmosphere out there. But I'm going to tell you something, Denny. I've been saying this. They had to hold the Rose Bowl as the final game. That's where the final game should be played. And the national championship game should be played in the Rose. I don't think there's a better setting in college football than the Rose Bowl. And playing in that game, unbelievable thrill. And the 2024 Rose Bowl, that's my favorite of all time.
I agree. It's my favorite one as well. I know there were people that went to that 98 Rose Bowl for Michigan. And
by the way, we stayed the whole game, by the way, Denny. I wasn't no fair weather fan. Go ahead.
I'm glad to hear about that. I know you could rival it and talk about the Rose Bowl against Washington State. And that was the final Michigan game to win the national championship there. So, Michigan, they beat Washington in, at NRG Stadium, number 1 versus number 2. You can say, how could you not say that one? Well, it was great. It was 34-13. It was great. It was for a championship and all that. But the Rose Bowl, how the game went, and Nick Saban's finale,
beat Alabama,
how the game unfolded. It was just the 4th and 2 that Blake Corum ended up. JJ running for the first down, throwing the ball to Roman Wilson. The overtime. I mean, come on.
Absolutely. No, it was great. I loved last year's Rose Bowl. It was awesome.
Maybe somebody's sending us $200. I don't know if somebody's giving us $200, that's going right to Jerry.
I'm not thinking.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't know how to check that. Yeah, it was just juice. It was such a great game. It was everything that you've got. I don't know if you've seen that picture where they've got the stealth bomber going over the stadium, and whoever takes it, it's still out there. It's just a great picture. The whole thing. And then it was a game, and there was a time there in the third quarter. Well, actually, I thought Michigan, if Jerry, you're experienced enough where that the first play or two doesn't mean you're going to lose the game, but it all went wrong for Michigan. Like the first play, they looked like they almost threw an interception. What else happened? They fumbled a punt. I mean, it didn't go well. Then in the third quarter, it just looked like the tables had turned, and Alabama was going to win the game. And with Alabama's history It almost felt like we'd seen this before, and it was just this was going to be the end of the line for U of M. They were not going to win the national championship, but they came back and won what you and I think, and a lot of other people here as well, as their greatest game ever, a favorite bowl game ever as well. How about that?
Mine, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. Dave says the Rose Bowl was the actual national championship game.
That's hard not to say that, Dave. That's what I was thinking.
We've got an Alabama fan checking in, Jerry, and
I'm glad to hear that your heart's broken by Justin Hayes coming over to our place. I'm glad to know that. I think he is a great running back. I think he's going to fit in real well with our team, and I think he's good. You know, I was watching some film, and I did want to point this. He made some good blocks for Milroe too. He's not just a good running back. He made some good blocks too.
I was looking at the box score of that Rose Bowl game that we're talking about, and look at we got Michigan 38, Florida 30 from THS. I don't remember. Was that the game Harbaugh? Was that Harbaugh's first ever bowl game? Was that 38-30? Or that might not be a bowl game. Didn't they also play Florida in like the kickoff?
Yeah, they played them in the kickoff.
That could have been.
I thought they played Florida in 2 bowl games.
Yeah,
in 2 bowl games.
3 bowl games, maybe.
Was it?
Oh, no, you're right. I'm sorry. 3. I was thinking. No, you're right. You're right.
No, I'm saying 2 bowl games in. No, that would have no. Never mind. I'm gonna back off of it.
Well, they did. They lost because I remember that Harbaugh's first bowl game was a win over Florida, right? I'm gonna look.
I thought it was. I thought it was.
41. I got it. That was 41-7. They lost.
And then we lost to Florida again. We lost to Florida in a bowl game later on. Like
41-15. Yep.
So it was 2 games in Harbaugh's tenure.
Yeah,
we had bowl games with Florida. 1-1.
But in 2017, to kick off the season, they beat Florida in Arlington. So I don't know where this 38-30 is coming from. It's threw me for a loop. But when you send us a big NIL package like Jolin, you make it up onto the screen. So there you are. That's it. All right, Jerry, enjoy yourself the game, and we'll see you next year.
Hell to the victors, Denny. Happy New Year. Wish all of us a great 2025. Y'all be safe out there. Hail to the victors, and let's beat Alabama and get ready for 2025.
All right, we'll see you over.
Supposed to be.
See you over on the